They say evil hides in plain sight, but sometimes it watches you from the shadows waiting for you to make a mistake. Tonight, we explore 5 terrifying true stories, from encounters with the dead to strangers who never blinked. Each tale was sent in by real people who still can't explain what happened. So turn up the lights, put on your headphones, and whatever you do, don't look behind you. Story 1. The Man at the Train Station, Cincinnati, Ohio, submitted by Jonah 2. I was 22 when it happened. I had just finished my shift at the call center and was catching the last train home. The station was almost empty, just me and an older man pacing on the other side of the tracks. He had a hunchback, thick glasses, and held a one leather suitcase. At first, he didn't look dangerous, but then he stopped pacing and turned to stare at me. Not blink, not glance, just stared. I looked away, pretended to scroll my phone. When I glanced back, he was gone, like vanished. Then I felt breath on my neck, a dry, wheezing sound. I spun around. Nothing, just an empty platform. I ran upstairs to the exit, and that's when I saw him again on the other side of the glass door, just standing there, suitcase in hand, smiling with rotted teeth. His mouth moved silently, like he was whispering my name. I never used that train line again. Story 2. Don't answer the window to Carter. Indonesia, submitted by Alia Rahman. I was 16. Living in a high-rise apartment with my aunt. One night around M while studying, I heard tapping on my bedroom window. It startled me. Since I lived on the 9th floor, I froze. It came again, tap, tap, tap. Then I heard a voice, soft, childlike. Let me in, Alia. I peeked through the curtain and nearly screamed. A girl, maybe 8 years old, floated outside my window. Her hair was soaked, her eyes were pale white, and she was smiling. I ran to get my aunt, but when we returned, nothing. No sound, no girl, but the window had handprints, small, wet. My aunt turned white and muttered, "She found you. Turns out, years ago, a girl had fallen from our building." People say her spirit knocks on windows at night looking for someone to let her back in. Story 3. Something's under my bed, Seattle. Washington, submitted by Kyle H. When I was 9. My family moved into a house that had been empty for 2 years. First few nights were fine, but one night, I woke up to a faint scratching from under my bed. Thought it was my dog, Max. I reached down to pet him and felt fur, but Max walked into the room seconds later. I yanked my hand back. The scratching turned into low breathing, deep, heavy, inhuman. I screamed. My dad came running, turned the lights on, and looked under the bed. Nothing, but the next day, I had 3 long scratches on my wrist. Like claws, we got a priest to bless the house a week later. Things stopped, but I never slept in that room again. Story 4. The Eyes in the Woods, Osaka, Japan, submitted by Hiro Nakamura. I was a college student hiking through the Okugahara forest near Mount Fuji, famous for being haunted. I thought the stories were exaggerated. I was wrong. I went with 2 friends, Akira and Mai. About an hour into the hike, we noticed things went silent. No birds, no wind, nothing. Then we saw something ahead, a man standing motionless, facing a tree. We called out. No response. Akira tapped his shoulder. The man turned around and his eyes were missing. Just black, empty sockets. Yet he somehow stared straight into me. We ran, but the forest twisted paths we'd walked minutes ago was suddenly gone. It took us 4 hours to get out. But here's the thing, Mai never spoke again. To this day, she hasn't uttered a word. Her eyes still dart around in fear, like she sees things we don't. Story 5. The Babysitter's Last Shift, Austin, Texas, submitted by Tasha NF. When I was 17, I babysit for this wealthy couple who had a toddler named Ellie. Nice house, quiet neighborhood to quiet. They told me not to go into the basement. Even if I heard sounds, I laughed it off. But around PM, I heard Ellie crying over the baby monitor and something else. A deep, male voice whispering, "She's mine now." I rushed to her room. She was asleep, alone. Then I heard footsteps, but not from upstairs. From the basement, I grabbed Ellie and hid in the pantry. Clutching a kitchen knife, the footsteps came up the stairs, then stopped. Then a knock on the pantry door, slow, rhythmic. I held my breath. After what felt like forever, silence. The parents came home at the end and said they forgot to tell me the house had history. Turns out, the original owner went insane, locked himself in the basement, and whispered to his dead daughter through the vents. Ellie's room used to be hers. They moved a year later. I still have nightmares about that knock. Each of these stories serves as a warning. Not everything can be explained. Some shadows carry memories. Others carry something worse. Trust your instincts. Respect the unknown. And never ignore the whispers in the dark. Because when horror comes knocking, it doesn't always leave. But one story still haunts me to this day. It was submitted anonymously with no name, no address, just the chilling line. I watched you read these stories, and now I'm coming for you. At first, I thought it was just a troll trying to scare me. You wouldn't believe the kind of weird stuff I get from viewers. But then, things started happening. It started small. I heard scratching in my hallway late at night. You probably remember Carl's story about the thing under his bed. That faint scratching, it sounded exactly like that. I got out of bed, flashlight in hand. As I walked toward the hallway, it stopped. Dead silence. When I turned the flashlight on the walls, I saw 3 long scratches carved into the wood. Fresh, still warm. I checked my security cam footage. At 2:41 a.m., the hallway camera cut to black for 13 seconds. When it came back on, there was a brief frame of someone. No something crawling across the floor. Its joints bent wrong. Its mouth open wider than its face should allow, then static. At exactly 1:13 a.m., I heard a soft tap 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 on my bedroom window. I live on the 6th floor. I froze. I already knew. It was her, the girl from Olya's story. The one who floated outside a 9th floor window. I peeked through the curtain. She was there. Her eyes were pale and glowing. Her hair soaked like she'd just come from a storm. The crooked, childish smile stretched across her face. She raised her hand and touched the glass. The glass frosted instantly. Then she whispered. But this time, I could hear it. Tell my story again. I shut the curtain and ran into the hallway. The tapping didn't stop for almost an hour. When I finally had the courage to look nothing, but the glass was covered in small wet handprints, I stayed up, didn't sleep. Around 2:30 a.m., I saw someone standing outside the door of my recording studio. Old man, hunched over, one suitcase. It was the man from the train station story, Jonah's story. He wasn't moving, just staring at the camera above the door, and then he lifted one finger to his lips and made a slow motion. He vanished mid-frame. When I got there the next day, there was a message scratched into the studio door. You told us stories. Now you live them. That's when I realized it wasn't just one entity. All of them were coming back. Everything I'd read aloud, every story I'd ever posted, they weren't just stories anymore. I called to my editor. I told him everything. He said I was being paranoid. That night, he agreed to come over, but he never showed. Instead, at 4:09 a.m., I got a message from his number. Too late. He's already inside. Then the number stopped working, disconnected. I drove to his apartment the next morning. Door unlocked, lights off, laptop open. The only thing on the screen, a paused YouTube video of me reading the last horror story. But the background of the video wasn't my studio. It was Drew's bedroom. I retraced everything, every story, every submission. And I noticed something terrifying. All the story submissions came from the same IP address. Mine. Emails, names, even the final anonymous story. They were in my sent folder. But I didn't remember writing. Then, I didn't remember sending anything. Had I created these stories? Had I opened the door? That's when I got an email. No subject, no sender. Just one sentence. You are the author, but you're not the one writing. The collector I contacted, a paranormal expert, an old woman named Mrs. Kinsey. She told me about something ancient. A spirit called the collector forced the latches onto people who tell stories, especially stories of death, pain, fear. The collector doesn't haunt people. He uses them. He whispers ideas into their heads, and when they speak them out loud, they become real. Each time I posted a horror story, I fed him, gave him power, form, shape. She warned me. He's not inside the stories anymore. He's inside you. The spiral begins that night. I dreamed I was back in the Okinawa forest from Pirate's Tale. Except the forest was alive. The trees were whispering. One opened like a mouth and said, "You are the sequel." When I woke up, there was dirt and pine needles on my floor. I don't even have plants in my apartment. The next day, Drew's sister called. He had turned up at her door mute, shaking. He handed her a cassette tape. No label, just one word. Next, we played it. All we heard was breathing, and at the very end, "You're running out of time." He showed himself 2 nights ago. I set up motion cameras at 3:33 a.m. One of them triggered. A tall, shadowy figure walked past my hallway. When I zoomed in, I saw the truth. No face, just a stitched smile. He didn't walk, he glitched across the frame. Then, standing in front of the camera, he leaned in and whispered, "We're in the same story now. Every device in my apartment is acting weird. My laptop turned itself on, screen black, except for a blinking bulb." Part 3. And before, my bathroom mirror cracked from top to bottom, and the ceiling spun backwards. It's like reality slipping, like he's rewriting the world around me. I tried to delete my YouTube channel. It wouldn't let me. The button grayed out. The mouse moved on its own. A new video published automatically. The title, "The Collector's Origin uploaded by you." It was a black screen. My voice, reading a story I never wrote. A story about a man who reads scary stories online. Until they came for him. And now, right now, I'm not sure what's real. Every time I try to sleep, I wake up in a different room. Sometimes my house, sometimes places from the stories. One night, I woke up standing on train tracks. Another night, I was in a child's bedroom. Her name was carved into the wall. Ellie, Tasha's story. The babysitter. I heard a knock behind me. When I turned, the pantry door creaked open. No one was there, but the knife was. Same one from the babysitter's story. 2 hours ago, the power cut out. I lit a candle, and written across the wall in ash was a message. Finish it, or I'll finish you. And now I know. This isn't my story anymore. It's his. I was just the narrator. But you're the audience. And if you're still listening, he sees you to now. We think horror is something we can control. That it's a thing we can turn off with a scream, or pause when we're scared. But fear doesn't end when the story does. Sometimes, the story continues. Through you. Because every time you remember that chill, every time you rewatch, Every time you look over your shoulder, my lights just went out again. There's someone standing at my front door. He's not knocking. He's just standing, waiting, and my phone just got a message. No number, no name, just one line. Part 2 has started. Don't stop talking if I make it through the night. You will hear from me again. Part 2 is coming soon. If you want part 2, subscribe and keep your lights on tonight.